We are going to design our communication management plan in accordance with the requirements of the stakeholders. Whatever is the summary of that, we are going to base our communication management plan based on that. So stakeholder engagement plan identifies required management strategies to effectively engage stakeholders. And once we have identified those strategies and their communication needs, now in the communication management plan, team fulfills those strategies via communications, right? So as you can see, when we were doing the stakeholder analysis, we collected the communication requirements and analyzed them. What are the various communication needs of all the stakeholders? And accordingly, once we know all that, accordingly, we are going to develop a communication management plan. Communication management plan would involve all kind of interactions we are going to be having, like there could be physical meetings or verbal communications or other types of meetings and communication. Then all digital and electronic media communications, like maybe social media, website, instant messaging, email, fax, etc. And physical physical communication like body language, gestures, and whiteboards. All of these means could be used for communication purposes with various stakeholders. Okay, in our communication model, we could have rather three types of communication. First, let us talk about the first two, push and pull communication. Very simple, not very difficult to understand.
Oh,
Yes.
excuse me, Suhail. I think we covered this one and we've complete the topic A, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Because in my recording, probably then it was not recorded. Okay. Fine.
I think
Good.
we went through this push-pull, yeah.
Yeah. I know. I
And
know.
in fact, we talk about the metrics and you did some questions about the
Yeah.
RACI. Yeah,
So
we
did we
went
do
through all this.
this? Did you do this as well?
We finished the whole topic A
Okay.
and we
Okay.
were ready to start the topic B.
Okay. Okay. Did we do this shared understanding?
No. I think
No,
you
we're
went.
much further back.
Yeah. Behind, before.
Before this as the questions? There were a lot many questions. Yeah, we have done those questions and we now can,
No,
yeah.
no,
No.
we haven't done this yet.
Okay. Let me get to,
We're here.
okay, good. I'm sorry. Okay, so we were here, form the team, that is the next topic. And in this, um, okay, we have to create a collaborative team culture. Well, whether we are doing project through a predictive project management or agile, how can we be more collaborative? Naturally, we understand that in a predictive structure, we would be the project manager would be calling the shots, and the team would be following him. But still, team must have some kind of team charter. Unlike an agile system, this team charter, which in agile, self-organizing team develop their own team charter, here it might be possible the project manager provides them the ground rules to the teams and build their team agreements, structures, and processes that support a culture that enables individuals to work together and benefit from interaction. That is a basic purpose, that we want that their interaction, their collaboration should be fruitful, and that should be according to the culture of the organization. So it tailors a resource management plan. As far as agile is concerned, we already know and understand there are self-organizing teams, they develop their own charter. I mean the team charter, not the project charter. They develop their own understanding, set up their own ground rules, and they are aligned with the project requirements. They actually work towards the organizational requirements. Okay. Just a moment. There is a little video about the Tuckman model. If you have not seen it before, let me show it to you.
A psychologist 1965. Back in 1965, a psychologist named Bruce Tuckman observed that teams go through 5 stages: forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. Tuckman didn't just have a knack for rhyming, although that does make his model easier to remember. Understanding and supporting the team through each phase can be vital to helping it become a high-functioning team. Initially, the team is introduced. Everyone is polite, pleasant, even eager. This is the forming stage, when most team members are excited to start something new and get to know the others. Then, of course, reality sets in. During the storming phase, the weight of the task at hand sinks in. The initial excitement and the need to be polite wear off. Soon enough, people start to notice and appreciate each other's strengths. This is the norming stage, when the group starts to settle into a groove. Everyone is contributing and working as a cohesive unit. Eventually, the new team's members are confident and familiar enough with the project and their team that they can operate without supervision. This is the performing stage, when everyone on the team is on the same page and driving full speed ahead toward the final goal. In 1977, Tuckman added a 5th state, adjourning. Sadly, not a perfect rhyme. This phase is sometimes known as mourning because the team members have grown close and feel a loss now that the experience is over. The point of having a team is to work together. Understanding how teams develop.
Okay. I think this was the video was shortened due to some reason. Let me see.
Helping your team mature into the high-performing team it should be.
Okay. Right. So we do understand what is how the teams are formed. Whenever a team is formed, it goes through these 5 phases. And out of these 5 phases, the place where the team is ready to work at its highest level of efficiency is the performing stage, right? While in forming, storming, and norming, we are not really ready for work. We are actually trying to adjust amongst the team members. And when we are at the level of performing, that means we can we have understood each other. We have established a dynamic amongst the team members, and now we are ready to perform. And you see, actual work of a project should be handed over to the team at that stage when they are in the performing phase. Then what are they going to be doing while they were forming, storming, and norming? You could give them some dummy task as if they can coordinate amongst themselves. They can create an understanding amongst themselves. And once they are ready for the job, the actual work will be given to them in the performing stage. And once the job is done, the team can be adjourned. Two concepts in project teams is especially in the agile environment, which these 2 concepts are mandatory, but I'm not saying that these 2 concepts are not applicable to other kinds of project management like predictive and all. But you see, predictive methodology may accommodate these concepts, and that can even benefit from them, but If you are being agile, then you are these two characteristics are mandatory for you. You have to be a servant leader. Your team has to be a self-organizing team. So what do I mean when I say self-organizing team? Self-organizing team means first of all, the team comes from various different departments or areas of specialization. Each member of the team is kind of a specialist on in his or her own right. So they are cross-functional, they are specialists. Have we covered the concept of T-shaped people already or not? Have we talked about the T-shaped people? No?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So I'll introduce that concept to you as well. What I'm trying to say is that every person in the team is actually a specialist in his or her area. And not only that, they also know a little bit about other specializations within the team. Why is that required? Because we need to have an environment in which we should, replace each other temporarily if someone is not available, right? So nobody should be indispensable, but at the same time, every member of the team brings his or her own specialization. Once you know your job, your dedication to the work is assured. And when we know that this is a self-organizing team, which means that team does not take orders from anywhere. Team makes their own decision. They lead their own work. Nobody is leading them as such. For that matter, the team lead or scrum master is not giving orders around in the team. He is serving as a servant leader. He's only facilitating the team if they need anything or if they have any hurdles, he can serve to remove those hurdles. But the team itself takes on the leadership role. Anyone in the team could, and that leadership thing is revolving around in the team from task to task. And this is the decision of the team. And naturally, as I said, they are cross-functional. They are specialists in their own area of expertise. So whenever there is a job, the team mutually decides who is going to lead for it. And rather, I would say that leader would automatically emerge within the team, and all the decisions of what to do, how to do, when to do, all these decisions are taken by the self-organizing team all by themselves. And this is the most efficient way it could ever have happened. As far as the servant leadership is concerned, I have already told you that servant leader is not really an autocratic leader. This is the person who is there to support, to help, to coach, to remove any hurdles and all. So servant leadership is there to serve, right? He doesn't give any orders or anything. But this is a very important role. Don't just ignore the role of a servant leader. Anyways, these are two key concepts which are applicable in Agile. Rather, they are mandatorily, they're mandatory in Agile. Although I don't say that they do not and cannot be applied to normal predictive waterfall project management, they can be applied there as well, but that is an option. I hope you understand my point. As it says, these concepts can be applied in any kind of project team, right? Not necessarily the Agile team, but that is an option. But in Agile, you can't live without being self-organized and a servant leader. What is the role of project manager in an adaptive team? Well, let us see what is a centralized role, what is a kind of a centralized system, and what is a distributed. So leadership and management models could either be centralized or distributed. Centralized is that one man controls the whole show. One man controls the whole show and everybody follows him or her. That is classically the model of a predictive or waterfall model where project manager orders them around and people follow him, right? In a distributed model like in Agile, we have naturally we have a person who is looking after the team lead or whatsoever. He would be just serving as a servant leader. But the team which is responsible for doing the job, they actually will lead themselves. They will select their work themselves. They will make all the decisions about communication, collaboration, engagement on accountable tasks. The team lead as such does not have the power to do so. Team lead is only there for the servant leader purposes, and he would facilitate the counsel, coach, mentor, train, or maybe have an eye on what is happening on the areas where there could be impediments for the team, there could be problems for the team. So basically, this servant leader is going to be removing those hurdles from the way of the team. So I hope this concept is clear. So a distributed system is generally where you have complete delegation to the team. You have delegated, right? And centralized is where you have not delegated. You are holding all the control with the team lead or the project manager, right? So classically, centralized would refer to the predictive and distributed would refer to a agile system. If a team is self-organizing, this is the question for you. Is a project manager needed? Alexandra, what do you say?
I would say no if they're self-organizing because everyone is a lead or is a leader.
Okay, good. If your answer is no, then which of these models will you be using, centralized or distributed?
Distributed where it's shifting.
Okay, good, good. And Kelvin, what do you think?
Organizing and distributed.
Okay. If your answer was no, that means project manager is needed. I mean, a lead role is needed. Answer could also be that. Although we don't need a leader separately, because leadership emerges from the team itself. But we do have a role as a Scrum master or a team lead who may not be involved in making the decisions about the team, but this role does exist. So your answer may have been yes, we need a project manager. And if that be the case, what does that look like? That role look like a servant leader. Simple as that, right? Hybrid team, I hope you understand when we are in between the two extreme roles of predictive and agile. I mean, you are having characteristics of both. Then you could have centralized coordination, or you could have other way around. But generally, I would say in a hybrid system, if the system is predominantly predictive, on the top we will have a centralized system, and on the bottom we will have agile teams working with their team leads and product owner. Right? So both of the flavors are there in this system. On top, it is centralized, and then there is a distribution at the bottom level where the agile teams are working. Project team composition refers to team makeup and how team members are brought together. Varies based on organization, culture, location, and scope. Can be full-time or part-time, but I would strongly prefer that my agile team is not part-time, right? Although this may apply to a predictive project where team members keep coming and going, but in agile, I would rather like to have my team as full-time. But again, I would agree, even in an agile team, there are certain people who are kind of subject matter experts and they are momentarily required for the project work to they will be temporarily included in the team for that reason and they will then be leaving. So yes, I do agree that apart from your permanent team, there could be some other consultants and experts who could be on and off joining and leaving your team. And I would like to call them the part-time members. So yes, of course, in Agile, we could have the concept of part-time members, but classically, our main team members are full-time and they are fully involved in the work of the project. It includes varied knowledge and expertise, and actually, apart from the people I'm asking as a part-time members, partially who will contribute, every member of the permanent team should have specialized knowledge as well as generalized knowledge. So why do we do that? I have already explained to you, but naturally everybody is an expert of his or her own area, but at the same time, they should not have a tunnel view. They should at least be able to relate their work with the work of others. What are the responsibilities of other roles? What can they do? And in case the other person who is working with you is missing, how can this project can still go on? So in addition to your specialized knowledge, you need to gain a little bit of understanding of other related areas which expertise is held by other team members. I don't ask you to be a specialist in all of those areas, but you should have knowledge enough that in case one of the members goes missing during the life of an agile project, or all the remaining members should be able to compensate for that. So you are not only a specialist of your own area, but you have a general knowledge about other relevant areas as well. So you are not only a specialist, but a generalist as well. And any person who has got deep knowledge about certain topics and little shallow knowledge about all other matters is called a generalizing specialist. Generalizing specialist. Can you relate to this term? What is a generalizing specialist? Yes, Kelvin?
Maybe the PMO.
No. I am talking about the team members of an agile team. I said all the members of the team are specialists in one area at least.
Yeah.
But at the same time, while they have to work together, they need to learn other specializations to a certain extent, as if they have a common understanding how the work goes on in the agile team. And moreover, if one member goes missing for a certain period of time, the remaining members can get the job done without any hurdle. So you are supposed, as a team member in agile, you are supposed to be a specialist in one area, and you could have general knowledge about all other areas which you have specializations in other people, right? Do you get that point? In a
Well, I would say that's very specific for agile projects, but
yeah.
a predictive one,
the
I can
things,
relate that the people that may have a little bit of
yeah.
information or knowledge about everything, that's what I was saying, the PMO, because somehow they need to
Okay. But
target a little bit of everything, but yeah.
Yeah, I
or the
agree
project
with that.
or the project manager or the project manager as well.
I agree with you, but we are specifically talking about the team members in our project, right? You are right in saying that PMO may have this kind of expertise, but you see, they don't have this kind of responsibility, right? So we are not talking about them. We are right now talking about a project team in an agile setting and in a predictive setting. In a predictive setting, it is more of a kind of the leader tells them what to do, right? And therefore, the team need not be an expert. Generally, in a predictive project, all the members are kind of uh, average in knowledge, and they are just the worker bees, and the orders are being given by the project manager, and whatever the project manager says, the team does. Now, the level of efficiency of the team members in a predictive project may not be that high, right? Because they are not really allowed to think by themselves, make their own decisions. That is not a self-organizing team. And I would also say that a predictive team may not be very efficient. They may not be very efficient. But when I
My ego.
have all
You're hurting
the
my ego.
well, as I said, that this is generally the position in a predictive project, but at the same time, it's not always that you can't apply other areas. Like you can be self-organized even in a predictive project. That is an option open to you. You could have specializations. That is an option open to you. But if you are running an agile team, you have absolutely no other option than to have everyone specialist in at least one area and everyone having a little knowledge about everything else. And then the role of a servant leader, that is mandatory in agile, although if you wish in a predictive project, you could use it and you could benefit from it. Of course, why not? But these things, these a lot many concepts which are mandatory in agile cannot run without them. On the other hand, predictive can live without it if they like. And if they want to be a little more efficient, if they have got certain specialization, yes, they can adopt these methods and they can be more efficient if they like. You see, all the predictive projects may not need people, the team members to be specialists. Do you agree with me or not?
Yeah.
Maybe there is a team of laborers who are actually constructing a wall. What kind of specialization do you want in them? The only thing you are interested in, that they should know how to put blocks on the wall, how to join them, and
Okay,
that's about all.
that's the yeah. I didn't want to say that because probably it sounds rude, but yeah, that's where you compare what kind of project you deal under the agile methodology compared to the
Exactly.
predictive. So
Exactly. You
yeah.
see, try to understand another thing. Well, there is a possibility that you can even be doing a hybrid project in which you may have the characteristics of a predictive project as well as an agile project. So, Calvin, please consider that in your current ongoing project, where a lot of specialization is required and all, maybe you have been in a hybrid model, right? But naturally, that is not a must. But on the other hand, I also said that even if you have not been agile in any way, still, because those characteristics which are mandatory for agile, they are optional for you, and they are also available for you to take advantage. If you have got specialization, go ahead, enjoy that, right?
With some kind of specific activities depending on the project, can be
Of course.
organized in an agile methodology.
Yep.
Yeah, so now I can more or less understand the reasoning behind the person that brought the agile for it was a design phase. I mean, a design project that we need to work with. So this guy organized the sprint just for getting the deliverables on time every week.
Mm-hmm.
It was a kind of a fast track of engineering. So now I
Exactly.
more or less can understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was only one small portion of the whole project.
Yes, yes. Welcome, Fatma. You are here. How are you today? Your mic is off.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry, I am a bit late.
No problem at all. Okay, while we are discussing this, I would like to introduce to you and you to another concept very relevant to what we are talking about. There are people with T-shaped skills. This is like a T. Can you see the T? So, what are T-shaped people? Although there is a slide subsequently, but I thought because we are discussing the generalizing specialist role, so let us describe that. T-shaped people are those, just imagine, this is the depth of the T. Okay? And this is the width of the T. Agreed? Okay, if you are a generalizing specialist, you must have depth in some areas of knowledge in which you are a specialist. You have a lot of depth. Nobody else has got that kind of depth. This is those areas which are in the vertical leg of the T. You have a lot of depth in that, and nobody matches your skill in those areas. But at the same time, for all other areas in the project, you must hold a little knowledge about that, a working knowledge about those things, which is not very deep, but there are a lot many areas. The width of the knowledge means a lot many areas, right? There are 8 different specializations in your team. You are a specialist of one, and you have general knowledge about all the remaining 7 specializations. This kind of a person who has got depth in his own area of specialization and a little bit knowledge about everything else is called a generalizing specialist, or a T-shaped person. Or a T-shaped person. Now, do you relate to why do we call this guy as a T-shaped person? Or we can say this person has T-shaped skills. Meaning, this guy, simply saying, this guy is a generalizing specialist. Or we can describe that a T-shaped person is the one who has deep knowledge about certain things. He's a specialist in those areas and has a little bit knowledge about everything else, which is required to be done in the team. I hope you understand this concept of T-shaped skills. Are you fine with it? Okay, if so, I can move ahead. So I have introduced you to the generalizing specialist role and T-shaped people. I think it is probably in a subsequent slide, we will be talking about the T-shaped scale. Anyways, what are the different roles in a project team? In a traditional project team, we have the people who help plan the project alongside the project manager, the supervisors, the team leads. I'm talking from a conventional point of view. All those who are helping the project manager establish the plan, these are the people who may be called as a project management team or project management staff. Then there are those who actually get the job done. They may not be involved in the planning of the project, but our management of the project, but they are the worker bees. They are called project team or project work staff. Then we could have, a temporary assignment of supporting experts or consultants or subject matter experts who may be joining the team, and when the job is done, they can leave. Maybe they have come to advise the team on something or put them wise on something, help them make a decision. So they will temporarily join the team for a specific purpose, and then they can leave. And then we could have business partners, naturally, who are the key stakeholders and who have their stakes, and naturally, they want to give their input. So they also may be joining the team on and off. So this is a traditional view of what are the different project team roles. It's a traditional view which is considered from the predictive point of view. We refer to these different roles in our project. Then, once we understand these roles and all, identify project resource requirements. So, what are the guidelines here? First of all, what we need to do, we need to provision the team members. We need to bring on board people who are having the relevant skill set to do the job. So, and we also need to refer to external contractors and suppliers and other physical and intangible assets. That is about the resources. It's not only the human resource we are talking about, we are also talking about what all equipment or materials we may need to do our work, right? So because we are talking about the requirements of the resources in the project, and people are also one kind of resource. Anyways, talking about that, talking about people, uh, uh, the people who are going to be involved in the project, do they have the relevant skill set? If not, then probably that person may not be of much of use to us. And I'm not talking from the perspective of a predictive team only. Even a predictive team, in a predictive team, they should have the relevant skill set. Even if they are constructing a wall, they would have to have some experience in wall construction. I just can't put a person who had been working all his life in a steel mill and he knows nothing about constructing walls. So at least the person I'm hiring for a job in a predictive project must know their job. But at the same time, this guy may not be the ultimate specialist on that, right? Because we don't need them to be making decisions for themselves. The decisions in a predictive environment would definitely be taken by the project manager, and he may consult for advice with consultants and subject matter experts or even his team members, right? So the reins are held by the project manager in case of a predictive project. Then another point, very important point, is avoid single points of failure. I hope I'm not telling you something new. This is but normal. This is how the things are around you. We don't want that the person who is a specialist, you have hired that person, and after 2 days, he vanishes from the face of the earth, right? And ultimately, you don't know what to do. You don't have any other person who can do this job, and we are relying on a single resource very heavily, and our work is going to suffer until we hire another equally competent person. So, if that be the case, how are you going to avoid this kind of problem? Fatma, what do you think? How can you avoid that?
By getting generalize the specialist or T-shaped people in the team, we can
Exactly.
have more person with the different experiences or skills.
Right. Yes, of course, you are right. That is ultimately we are going to get to that place. But you see, in a real life scenario, you might have been facing these kinds of problems, and practically what you have done, if you have faced for the first time that, oh, I hired a person, but when it was time to do the job, that person has left the job or maybe was expelled from the project due to some other reason, what should you do? Because that person then is a single point of failure. Well, answer you have given is very right. We could have other peoples who can handle his or her job in the absence of that person, right? And that would be our general knowledge must be held by our other team members as if they can bring continuity to the work. And naturally, you are very right in saying that we have a cross-functional team even in a predictive project, and generalizing specialists and T-shirt people could be a great help even in a predictive project. But as I said, in Agile, that is a mandatory condition that all the team members must be generalizing specialists, they must be self-organizing, they must be cross-functional, they must be T-shaped, and the leader should be servant leader. So that is the difference between the predictive and the adaptive. Then ensure appropriate physical resources, other requirements. I'm not talking about the human resources alone. I'm talking about when these humans have been hired on the job, naturally they need some equipment and some tools to do their work. If those tools and those equipment and those materials are not available in time, what will this team be doing? This team would not be able to perform if they do not have all the relevant resources available on site. Agree or not? So you have to ensure availability of all the resources beforehand. And when I say beforehand, I don't mean you acquire those resources 1 year earlier, because that is also a wastage of time and money. We have a concept of just in time, JIT. That means all the resources which are required for doing a job must be available on that job before the start date of that work, right? You don't have to make those resources available 2 days earlier or 20 days earlier or a year earlier. No, not at all. Because more earlier you acquire these resources, you will have the responsibility of security, maintenance, and wear and tear in those resources, and therefore that is not very fruitful. It will not be really very cheap then. It would be, by the time you have to use that equipment, that might have gone rusty or maybe out of order, and that might not be operational. So the best approach is the just-in-time approach, especially for the non-human resources. Although I can say in a way that even the human resources you are hiring, they should also be made available just in time. But because we have already talked about a self-organizing and cross-functional team and all that, so I would say that just an in-time philosophy can very quick, easily, and scarcely fit into the non-living, non-intelligent resources. And if the non-living, non-intelligent resources are not made available in time, there is no fun in having an excellent team. That excellent team can do nothing whatsoever. I hope you understand my point. Okay, talking about the T-shaped people, we have already agreed on the definition who are the T-shaped people. Naturally, every member of the team must have a specialization in at least one area, and they must understand, they must have some understanding about the knowledge other team members are holding. So he must have a working knowledge on those areas and a specialized knowledge in his or her own area of specialization. So they are required, they are mandatory in a self-organizing team, which happens to be in an adoptive project. But at the same time, as I have repeatedly said, that they are not prohibited. The T-shaped people or self-organizing teams are not prohibited in a predictive project if the nature of your project is such and you are not even agile, you still can have T-shaped people or self-organizing teams. You can live with that. That is an option available to you in a predictive project. But in an adaptive project, you do not have an option not to have a T-shaped people or not to have self-organizing team. That is a mandatory requirement. These are the mandatory requirements in an agile project. I hope this point is clear. Okay, diversity.
I'm very in favor of the T-shaped people.
Yep. And definitely, if you're an engineer or you're always looking for a person who is expert of doing a specific job, and you hire that person for that job and provide him or her all the required equipment and resources in time, just in time. And that is how the jobs are done. But in a predictive project, the decision power is held by the team lead or the project manager. Project manager makes all the decisions, right? But in adaptive, project manager does not make all the decisions. Rather, he makes no decisions whatsoever. In agile, the project manager or whatever you call it, a scrum master or a team lead, is just a servant leader who is there to facilitate the team. And the team has all the power to decide what to do, how to do, when to do. So this is all the job of the team members. Okay, talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, naturally, I don't have to talk a lot about it. We already understand that in our team, we should have diversity, male and female, black and white. All people are equal. That we must understand, and we must accommodate them all. If there is a specialist I require in my team, it doesn't matter if that person is a female or a male, a black or a white person, a person from Japan or from Kenya. It does not really matter. So diversity, there should be diversity in your team. There should be flavors of all kinds of people in your team. That is greatly encouraged. Secondly, all have equal rights. You should consider them all equal, no matter, even if you are a specialist in your area, you should not look down upon others, because you should understand they are in a self-organizing team. They have their own specialization, which you don't hold, right? Although we all are T-shaped people, but still we are all equal. Third, we should not, exclude anyone from the team because we don't like that person due to the religion or the race or the color that person has. Even if we don't like them, even if that person, for example, a person is a handicapped person, he can't move very fast, and we all have to wait for him to catch up when we are moving somewhere. So accommodate that person, include that person as a team. Rather than running in front of that person, you should be pulling the wheelchair of that person and walking with that person. Include that person as part of your team. That probably I'm not, there to teach you these cultural and global values. These are global and global diversity we are talking about. So yes, of course, why not? These things do apply to your projects as well. As far as
the diversity is,
yes,
my own experience, sometimes it's very difficult as well.
Yes,
for
of
a project
course.
manager. For a project manager, sometimes the diversity, because you bring different, styles, culture, educations. So yeah, sometimes it's challenging also to put all the people together. On the same track.
Yes. I understand that might be a little difficult to grasp and work with, but ultimately that is that is really very beneficial. Why? Because when we are having people from various different cultures, and naturally in the beginning, in the forming and storming phase, we might have a lot of differences how to do the thing. But ultimately, when they come to a common understanding, these people who are actually T-shaped people would teach everyone else the best of their cultures, the best of their values, the best of the ways to do things. And trust me, in a T-shaped people group where the people are self-organizing, the diversity will be an advantage. That is not, well, the only disadvantage will be during the time you are forming, storming, and norming. When you are performing, you will find that you have gained excellent traction now, and you can really benefit from it. But okay, I believe if you did not give enough time for forming, storming, and storming and norming, in that case, your performance will be greatly affected because people have not yet adjusted with each other. So, yes, I do understand that you will have problems during your performance. Do you get that point, Calvin?
Interesting. Yeah, probably I'm lacking on those phases.
Right. Then, naturally, as a project manager, you have to make decisions at many points, and you have to look down at your personal experiences you have had in the earlier projects or earlier assignments. Moreover, there would be a time when you will find yourself lacking in certain areas of expertise. What do you do at that point? You are the decision maker. You have to make the decision. You have asked your team to help you. They don't have any advice for you. You have asked your peers to help you, and maybe they also cannot help you right now. So from where are you going to get the expert knowledge?
The use of consultants sometimes.
Of course.
Yeah, you can
Mhm.
you use stakeholders sometimes because at the end probably they are expert on whatever you are building for them. So
Exactly.
you can get some feedback from them. And yeah, that's
So that means we don't have
also
to be.
your own contact, your network.
Exactly. You see, that means we don't have to be shy about asking expert advice from anyone, right? Don't just rely on your own expert judgment. Your expert judgment is actually not only your expert judgment, but the inputs coming from your team, from the specialist, from the peer, and all around whom you can access, right? And then you make up your mind about your expert judgment and you make your decision. So this could come from the consultants, stakeholders, and everywhere around you, even the professional and technical associations like PMI. You could ask PMI, I am in this situation. Can anyone advise me? What should I do? And they will advise you. You can also look at the historical data, the previous projects, how the people have dealt with difficult situations earlier. And naturally, project manager also has his or her own knowledge and expertise. So all of these means have to be used when you have to make an expert judgment during your project. Focus on team strengths. Now, I hope that is something I don't need to teach you. You know, team should always be aware about what they are, what they can do, and how they can do it, and maybe what are our weaknesses, how can we improve them, what are the threats and opportunities which we can exploit or maybe respond to. So basically, every team should be doing a SWOT analysis about their team where they could recognize and identify the strengths they have, weaknesses they have, the threats and opportunities open to them, and then plan their strategy how to move forward. I hope that is quite simple. Team norms, as I have already discussed with you and we have agreed that a team should develop their team charter or ground rules should be established for them. This should be mutual. The team should contribute in this decision to establish the team norms, and team norms will be like when are we, will be the working hours, and how will we be communicating, how the meeting should be conducted. General rules about doing everything as a team should be chalked out, and that should be your team norm. But at the same time, there are some ethical values you must also be following. So if you don't have any code of ethics in your organization, then you have to apply the standard code of ethics which the society has. For project managers, PMI has developed a PMI code of ethics and professional conduct, which is universal in practice. And if your organization doesn't have a code of ethics or a professional conduct, which usually big and good organizations do have, then you can simply take help from PMI code of ethics and try to apply that. And that is a universal kind of a code, and you could very easily and comfortably do the right thing at the right time. So apart from the ground rules, part of the ground rules would be these ethics and professional conduct. What are these ethics and the professional conduct which are given by the PMI? First of all, tell me, do you have in your organization some kind of a code of ethics or professional conduct? Yes, Alexandra.
Yes, we do.
Okay, good. And Fatma?
Yes, we do.
Wonderful. Calvin?
Yes, we have.
So if you have, then that is really very good, because then you would know how to follow it, and what are the ethical values you have to upkeep and all. And that is really good if you are aware about it. But in case you don't have that, PMI gives you the basic values. There are 4 basic values: responsibility, respect, fairness, and honesty, right? And it encompasses everything. For example, let's talk about responsibility. As a member of the team or as a project manager, you are responsible for whatever you do, and you are responsible for whatever you do not do. What does that mean? That means whatever you did was your responsibility, and if it goes wrong, naturally you should accept the responsibility. And the major point here is, when it comes to taking the responsibility, people shed away the responsibility and try to point towards others that it is not my fault, it is the fault of that person. That is unethical. That is not right. That if it is a problem situation, you are pointing fingers to other people, right? So take, as a leader, it is whether it is completely your fault or not, but because that was within your area of expertise, within your area of command, you should be brave enough to take on that responsibility. Moreover, if you should have done something which you did not plan for and did not do, you should have your reasons why did you not do that thing which was otherwise necessary and required. So the responsibility of not doing something which should have been done also lies squarely on your shoulders. So a good project manager would take on the responsibilities for everything he has done and everything he should have done but he did not do. Are you with me on that point? Respect. You should first be able to respect yourself, your team, your organization, and then everyone else. So in a way, I'm trying to say you should be a very respectful person. You should have respect about your stakeholders, about your customer, about your own team, about yourself. The basic rule is if you don't respect yourself, how can you respect anyone else? Right? So those people who are unaware about their own self, their own characteristics, they are incapable of exercising respect for others, right? So one who can respect himself, his team, his organization can definitely respect stakeholders, customers, and all others. So respect is the second value by PMI. Third is fairness. You should not be unfair. You should not do undue favoritism to anyone. You should not get yourself involved in unfair means like bribery and all other things. Whatever they are, they can never be considered legal. These things are wrong and they are unethical, and no justification can serve to put them right. Anything which is unfair is unfair. It is wrong. You can't justify that because in the country we are working, bribery is very common, so probably we can do it. No, sir, you can't do it. That is unethical, right? Fourth value PMI tells you is the honesty, that you will speak the truth, the whole truth, and only the truth. You understand my point? Meaning, if you delay the message which was to be conveyed to another person in a specific period of time, you intentionally delay that message and you convey it later than it was useful for that person, you are being dishonest. It is not only lying to a person, which is dishonesty, it is holding back information and giving that information at the wrong time is also considered dishonesty. Even if you are saying when it comes to communicating to the other person, you are telling the right things to that person, but there is a kind of a you have mixed some honesty with some kind of lie. It's a half truth you are giving to that person. That I would consider as a dishonesty as well, right? So anyways, you can look down at your own organization's values, the ethical values which you said that you have and you are following them, and compare them with these four basic values. Anyways, if you like, you can always download the PMI Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct from their website. And if you like, I can also share it with you. But that is really very elaborate, very interesting, and very universal. It could apply to any country, any organization on this face of the earth. And I think that would be very good for anyone to add some ethical knowledge about things in their archive. We have already been talking about a team charter that the team decides for themselves how are they going to behave during the work, what are going to be the norms, and these are the things they generally agree. I'm not saying that these are kind of some very lengthy documents that, there is a 20-page behavior guideline and communication and use of tools guideline, which is a 200-page document. It is just a single pager where we agree that for communication we will be doing this. This mutually the team agrees on certain points, and this is called setting the ground rules. Because once the team has mutually set the ground rules for their working, then ultimately these are the ground rules you people will be following. Nobody is going to be breaking these ground rules, because that are commonly decided amongst the team members, and that is called the team charter. Team charter is usually not given by the boss. Team charter is usually considered the general consensus gained within the team members, especially in the self-organizing team. But maybe in a predictive project, you may not have that kind of freedom, and the ground rules have been dictated to you by the project manager. So I leave that thing as a possibility that there might be some interference or involvement of the project manager in developing your team charter and the ground rules. But generally speaking, these things should be set up by the members of the team themselves. That is the most efficient way of doing things. This could be a format or a example or sample for a team charter. Remember, once again, let me say that this is a team charter, not the project charter. Project charter is altogether a different document. In the team charter, the most important ingredient are the ground rules, right? You could add little more other details, but after adding those details, your charter should not go more than 2 pages long, as it is shown on the screen. And what all you can talk about in the team charter, you could talk about what is the name of the project, who is the sponsoring unit, duration of the charter, project team members, how many are they, team members, commitment is how much, 40 hours per week or whatever. What is the general scope of the project? What are the major timelines of the project and milestones and things like that? Any administrative requirement, resources. This is just the preamble, right? Once you are done with those things, who is the project manager, who is the product owner, who are the team members, this all has been mentioned, then you can give the roles and responsibilities of various key roles in your team, right? So, but that is also optional. The thing which is most important, which is heart and soul of the team charter, are the ground rules. And these ground rules are so important that I would like these ground rules to be printed on a huge, chart and pasted on the wall where you are working. Everybody should be able to, read them while they are coming and going by passing by that chart, and that way that should be ingrained in your minds. The ground rules must none of the team members will ever even consider to bypass any of the ground rules, because they are mutually agreed conditions by all the team members. So nobody is allowed to break the ground rules. Yes, I do agree. The ground rules can be amended mutually by the team. Maybe they feel that, okay, we set working hours to be 8 to 5, but in the current situation, maybe due to daylight saving or something, our timing should be from 9 to 6 or whatever. You want to do that. So, yes, of course, you could change the ground rules, but that should be mutual. But anyone who defies a ground rule within the team, that is not allowed. Team must check on that. I suppose you are comfortable with the concept of team charter? Do you develop it in your organization, or it is a common understanding that, okay, we have understanding on something? Yes, Kelvin?
Exactly like this, no, but yeah, we have a little bit of everything in multiple charts, not in one single document.
Okay, but you see, I said that all of the ingredients shown here are not necessary. The only thing required, which is important, are the ground rules.
Ground rules.
Do you have ground rules? Do you have
Yeah.
written ground rules? Are there implicit ground rules? How do you work with them?
It's a little bit of, again, it's another kind of combination between the rules that are set up by HR, and some of them are also the one that the project is given to the whole team. So in terms of, kind of, like the communications and the...
Okay. I can relate to
Yeah,
that.
this is more like how they call something like a behavior rule, something like this. I think they call it.
Right. I agree with you. And naturally, your HR or your even project manager could set up certain rules. But when it comes to the team adopts those things which have been given to them for the behavioral purposes. But at the same time, they have to come up with some of the specific ground rules for the game play. As they are the people who are going to work together. Howsoever they are comfortable with each other.
Behavior and conduct rules, something
Yep.
like this. I think they call that.
Yeah, behavior and conduct rules can come from the organization or the project manager, but within the team, how are they going to interact with each other? How are they going to, these are the ground rules they have to set within.
That's interesting. And thinking that, for example, if you are managing a project or a department, or this is a really good guidelines that you can set up for
Exactly.
for the team. I mean, internal, because you had the organization ones, but are kind of generic. So this one can be more specific depending on the kind of work that the team or the department or it's interesting.
Right. So we have a concept of team charter. This example is not some template or a format which PMI is advising you to do that, but this is just a sample. You can devise and design your own format for the team charter from within your organization. We don't mind that. But this is a good guideline. At least it is a good guideline. Then let us move on to the team communication. Naturally, we have talked about communication earlier, and we said there could be different types of communication. So what are the effective communications here? So effective communications could be verbal, it could be written, it could be behavioral. As you were mentioning, there could be some communications which are behavioral. You make a note and do not answer me. That is kind of a behavioral. I would understand that you agree with me, but you don't want to explain on that or something like that. There could be some physical communications, like you are writing on a notice board or on a whiteboard or something, or maybe your body language is also physical. It is also considered a physical communication. And so you could have a virtual communication. Well, we keep talking about all these things all the time, but these are the different means of communication within the team. So include communication expectations and details in the team charter. So in the team charter, you will talk about how are we going to communicate. Just give it a summary. Don't make a detailed plan of communication, but just tell us that we will, for example, I say that we will communicate honestly with each other. That could be the sentence. Or you could say that we will try to communicate mostly in face-to-face setting, right? Everything, all communication must be recorded, right? So these kind of broad guidelines could be included in your team charter. So basically the purpose is to facilitate team and stakeholder collaboration, manage expectations, check regularly to make it working, plan and use retrospective. When we do retrospective, we learn that whatever the ground rules we set, are they really working, or we should improve it. So you can always improve the ground rules and make them more appropriate for the future working. So ground rules or the team charter could be amended by the team anytime for their own use. We have talked a lot about the virtual teams and the co-located teams, and always I had been saying that no matter what are all the possibilities, but the best ever way of a team to work is that all of them are present together in one place, co-located. In that case, the interaction is easy. There is a lot of wastage which is reduced by doing that, by sending a letter to someone and that person not understanding it, asking for a clarification. That takes days. Even emails or other means of communication may not be as good as physical communication face to face. That if your people are located together, there is a chance of they will have better bonding and better relationship amongst themselves. Social contact is necessary. Then use of physical tools, collaborations, games, boards possible. That possibility is there. If you are not really able to explain something on a board or through some kind of representation, then probably that would be not a co-located team. So anyways, in an agile setting, I would say the first preference of our agile team is that they should be co-located, but we know and we understand that might not be possible in all the cases. Nowadays, most of the agile projects are virtual. The teams are located culturally all around the globe. They are geographically distributed, and that may not be possible that they are co-located. So yes, in virtual teams we can work, but at the same time, we have to somehow compensate for this co-located team scenario. Well, we have to make the virtual environment so real and so down to earth that we could really physically talk to each other. We could even play games, group activities online. We should be able to use some kind of a whiteboard. Commonly, you are writing something on the board, and I am also writing on the same board, and that is interactively available. Everybody can see. So somehow we can compensate for the disadvantage which we had by not having a co-located team. So when people are working in a virtual team, they can maybe they are working from home. They could give attention to their work as well as their life, and there could be a balance. Otherwise, if you are working in office overtime and you can probably not be seeing your family more than a couple of hours a day, maybe you are coming to your home late night when your children have gone to sleep, and maybe you are not able to see your children awake for months on the run. So, well, if you could be working on a virtual environment, this could be an advantage that you are around your family, even if you are working. You could be sealed in a room, but you know that you can walk out to and kiss your kids or whatever. You can. You actually are home. And that is a great advantage nowadays because people are using telecommuting and other means of reducing, travel time and all that. So virtual teams will, and you have no distances. You can communicate online. You don't have to really physically fly over to the other continent to meet the team or for the meeting or other thing. But yes, virtual team has their own advantages. But where they have advantages, they also have many disadvantages. And one of the disadvantages you have in a virtual team is that the person, though we are acting like as if we are together and we are doing group activities, but actually on ground, that person is sitting alone in a room. Every person in the meeting is sitting alone in a room, right? So there is an element of isolation which may creep in. If you start working virtually for a very long time, then probably you could go into a kind of isolation. So please consider these advantages and disadvantages. But I do understand co-located teams may not be possible in all the agile cases, but a virtual team is a norm nowadays. What are the challenges of a virtual team? Individual performance tracking could be, kind of maybe easier sometimes because everything is online. Diversity, yes, we have to take care of diversity. People speaking a different language are holding different technological skills. You have to compensate for them. And if probably you don't speak their language and they don't speak your language, we have to use some tool to transcribe online what is happening, and that way we can bridge the gap. then as we say, everyone is working. Actually, they are working alone. Although they are virtually working together, but they are actually working alone. You are sitting on your computer at your home. So that probably is a kind of a barrier in bonding, but you have to apply certain means by which your online bonding, your virtual bonding can somehow be increased. Like, I'm talking to you, but I'm not talking to you like we were in a discussion, right? So you might have other prohibitions. You may be thinking about, okay, my children are waiting for me. I have to go and talk to them, and probably you are not really very attentive on that. Maybe you leave the session for a moment, and well, if you are in a meeting and we are sitting together, you probably can't really do that. Most of the time, you will have to be more attentive as compared to virtual team. But anyways, that is not really a very big disadvantage. We can compensate for that by adopting better behavioral practices through during the virtual teams. Running virtual team can be a kind of a challenge, but naturally, as we have discussed, there are advantages and disadvantages to it. Check in with people individually as often as possible. Like, when before the meeting, you should coordinate with everyone. Conduct positive network building activities during and before that event. You should have some kind of network building thing. This could be a social network building also. That could also be very useful, where you can learn things, or you could have kind of messages with your team exchange on WhatsApp or something like that, which can keep you in touch. So virtual teams, for virtual teams, you have to get to a lot many virtual means of communication. How can we communicate through a virtual team? Naturally, we have got everything which we can do in a co-located space in form of information radiators. Just consider that all those information radiators, those charts which are posted on the walls of the co-located space, can be online, can be interactive charts. So task boards, messages, chats, calendars, document storage. You can upload the things on a cloud storage from where others can download that. So that is also an electronic tool, online tool. Knowledge repositories you can access to, video conference you can conduct, and things like that. So all the latest technologies you can use to use virtual teams, and maybe to kill a bit of isolation. And I believe that very soon the things are going to be further changing, and the distance between the virtual team members will be further reduced when we can see a hologram of the other person standing right in front of us. Maybe all of the members, they look like they're present in the room, actually speaking to each other. That could be possible. Right now, this is just a science fiction, but that would be made possible someday. What do you say? Okay.
I think the COVID changed everything about the virtual
Exactly.
team member teams.
COVID actually served the virtual teams a lot. It was bad, but COVID actually helped us do things in ways we did not think possible, right? For months and months on the go, we were able to perform even better in a online setting, in a virtual setting.
To be honest, I think nothing's compared to have a in-person kind of conversation. So
that we have
there's no comparison with that.
That we have agreed already, that the best way to communicate is in person and face to face. But if that is not possible, probably we have to resort to virtual, and COVID did that for us. They caused a big scenario. COVID caused a big scenario. We could not have met each other, but still we could communicate virtually. So we tried to make use of that facility to the optimum. and it was a success.
You know, I don't know if it's a worldwide tendency, but at least in my project and some colleagues of mine, people is trying to reduce the amount of virtual, meetings or catch up. They're encouraging the people just to go and do the in-person meetings and
I
call.
agree. I agree.
I don't know if the ladies here had the same experience, but that's something that is happening, especially in this workplace. And here in New Zealand, there's something that, it was somehow established during the COVID. That is the working from home.
Yeah.
The work from home in my project, in my company, has been cut. So I mean, you need to work from home only if it's something like you're sick or you cannot be spreading a virus or whatever you do. But in general, there were some rules that people have kind of agreement between the organization. So it's like I can, even after COVID, and I'm talking like 3 months ago, people were somehow establishing a working schedule, like 2 days of the week I'm gonna be working from home. All this has been cut it off. But and it's for the sake of encouraging the people to be on site and person,
Exactly. Because we don't want to lose the personal touch, and personal touch can only be possible through face-to-face meeting. Now, let me give you an example, and you are talking about very latest things. Let me talk about things which I faced 20 years ago. 20 years ago, when there was no regular teleconferences available, I was working with PMI on certain projects like, revising the PMBOK and maybe the program management standard. And there are a couple of projects with PMI. And we were the virtual team. We were about 20. I had in my team, 25 people working under me. And we were 8 teams. And we also had to communicate with our program manager. Right. And we had to work for 4 years on that project. 4 years. Do you imagine the people who are completely, they don't know each other, they have never seen each other, can they work for 4 years together on a weekly basis and still be able to produce the results? Not possible. I would have, you could have been just a picture to me, nothing more than that, right? Or a voice to me, and nothing more than that. So what PMI did in those days, 20 years ago, we used to have teleconferences, no video conferences, a weekly teleconference with my own team, and a weekly teleconference with the program manager and the bigger team, right? 2 teleconferences every week for 4 years. PMI organized that every year, at least 3 to 4 times, we will have to meet physically. We all were from different countries. So they organized that, the first meeting will be in New York, and next meeting would be maybe in Belgium, or maybe third meeting would be in another country. So we used to meet every year, at least, I would say, every quarter we used to meet physically with our team. And that was the level of bonding we established there was never possible in the weekly meetings at all. So I fully agree with what you are proposing, that people will be converting back to physical connection. Physical connection is required, but naturally, we could reduce the physical connection, introduce a little bit of virtuality, but at the same time, the need for meeting each other, seeing each other's face, interacting and socializing with our team members will never be eliminated. Face-to-face communication is definitely the best option we have. But that, I agree, is not the only option.
There's one component in this formula that I feel was also part of, the reason why the organizations are bringing back, the being person is the well-being and the mental health. People start getting issues, by being isolated at home.
That is exactly the point. That is
socializing is very important.
Very important. And another thing. In my scenario, we never had seen the people before the first meeting, right? So we just had voices. There was a voice of a person who was very, a dominating voice, and we used to listen very careful, very loud voice and all that. And there was another person and another person. So we recognized each other by their voices, right? We didn't see the face. So what we did was we imagined a picture of that person, that this dominating person would be 6 feet high and should be a bodybuilder, something like that. And when we met, that was a short-heighted person from somewhere in Peru. And it was interesting to see those people with with different what we imagined them to be. They were very different from that. And then when we kept meeting after every quarter, we started bonding. We started bonding.
Catfishing.
Yeah,
A lot of
exactly.
catfish.
Yeah. And ultimately, we had a wonderful, kind of a relationship. A similar experience I had when we did a virtual master's class with PMI in leadership, right? So in that class, we used to physically meet after every 3 months. We would have a certain number of classes together in some country, and otherwise we were meeting virtually, having virtual classes, or all what do you call that? All other activities were online, right? Our assessments and everything. Everything was online. And practically speaking, that was 1 year long course. And during that 1 year, we met only for 4 times. Fourth time was when we were graduating, right? Convocation, for the convocation. So practically speaking, apart from the last meeting, we only have met for only 3 times. But when it was the time of convocation, everybody was so sad, and some people were even crying as if they have lost a loved one. You understand my point? It was so emotional. It was so emotional, right? So exactly, we can create emotions online, but physical is necessary.
That was 20 years ago.
20, yeah, it was in 2005.
Oh,
This
wow.
master's class was 2005. Yeah. Anyways, so this is it.
I was a baby.
And I would say this is a very good opportunity if you can somehow get into that master's class that is still going on. They get people from all around the world, around 25 people in each class, and that is a great honor to be in that class. And you have a good exposure, a very good exposure to international, multicultural environment in that. Really beautiful. So do check up on PMI website. You will find they call it PMI Leadership Masters Class, right? So I would love that if any one of you would one day be qualified, graduating from that master's class. That is an experience of the lifetime.
Thank you.
Anyways, address virtual team member needs, and naturally every member has got different need. You have to understand where this person is located. Is this person isolated in what? And maybe I feel that Calvin is quite alone, and maybe I send him a gift, and he would be really very pleased by that. And maybe some kind of action and reaction should be there, as if we are real people. We are not robots, right? We are not just communicating through this conference, this meeting, this Zoom meeting. We have other means of being real human beings as well. So we can do that. So address the basic needs of a virtual team, including cohesion, shared goals, clear purpose, and clarity of roles and expectations, right? And I believe with my experience, I think all of these things are there. In a virtual team, we can do things better. Really, trust me, we can do things better. We developed the standards sitting apart from each other. For 4 continuous years, we were working together on telephones, and ultimately we created the new version of the standard that was made possible. That was actually made possible, right? So that's how PMI works, all virtual. Okay, questions here. What are two techniques that a project manager can use to appraise the skills of a potential team member? Two answers are correct. Ability test, focus groups, Kanban boards, RASI metrics. What should be the right answer? Tell me we have not done this question earlier because there might be a repetition. Okay.
Focus group.
Focus group, okay.
And
And
ability tests.
an ability test. Kanban board is not, because Kanban board is something of an information radiator. RASI matrix is just the distribution of whether who is responsible, who is accountable, and things like that. So these two things are not relevant. Ability test and focus group are the right answers. Then we have this question: which two statements describe self-organization? Now I leave this to you because I have taught you self-organization very well. I know you will hit the jackpot. Two answers are correct.
First one A, asking team to assess and agree to work goals as a group.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think C, because using a pool-based approach to ensure effective use of the team
Okay,
resources.
right. Thank you, Fatma. Anyone else have their own opinion? Is she right or you have a different opinion? Alexandra?
I agree with A.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and I mean I'm between B or C for the second option. What does a
Okay.
pull-based approach mean to ensure
Pool-based
effective use of team
approach is just
resources?
like we do in Agile, that we have got a product backlog and we pull the job work out of it whenever is required, and we move on doing that job.
Then I would say C, A and C, so the same as Fatima.
Right. So Kelvin, do you agree with these answers? Okay, you all are correct. A and C is the right answer. Okay, this is the next question, but the answer is already visible. Which two of the following are reasons that PMI publishes a code of ethics? So B and C are the reasons. Create a commitment to honesty, integrity, and commitment, and ensure compliance with rules and laws, right? So they cannot, by ethics, they cannot set expectations for the project manager and the team. They cannot provide specific guidance on conflict resolution, but B and C are more appropriate uses of the code of ethics. Which of the following is an artifact that outlines that team will operate and work together? Is it a project charter, team charter? Right, good. Which is a good practice for use of collaboration technology? One answer is correct. Select tools with the best features. Select tools that team lead has experience with. Define team goals and practices before selecting tools, and use the tools that previous project used.
B.
Bravo. Select tools that team lead has experience using. So why are you only considering the team lead? If team lead has experience in using certain tools, uh, is it mandatory for everyone to use those tools? Why?
Because the team has experience using that tools, I think. And
No,
this is like,
team lead.
there is meaning.
It says team lead has experience using those tools, not the team. Team lead.
Because okay, the team lead can provide like training
Guidance.
or information to the other team members, so
Okay.
there is a minimized chance of failure.
Okay. Why don't you go for C? Selection of tools is dependent on what the work is, right? So first define the team goals and practices as if they can mutually decide which tools can be used. Why you are going in an autocratic approach? The team, whatever the team lead says, we'll do. Let the team decide. After the team has been formed, let them decide what tools suit them the best according to the work of the project. Do you agree with me, Kelvin?
Yeah. See.
C is the correct answer. Which two are the examples of virtual team collaboration? Well, shared task boards are happening there. Team chat boards are happening there. Laptop hard drive is not a virtual thing. Social media is not really what we are using in our things. We are using some application, not just the social media. In which of the following artifacts will a list of stakeholders who will receive communications about the project appear? So look at this and see, tell me which is the right answer. List of stakeholders who will receive communication.
Communication management plan.
Okay, that is the right answer. Because he's not asking about the list of stakeholders, he's asking about who will receive the communication. That key was, it was a communication management plan. Which of the following is not a component of the communication management plan? Initiator and receiver of the project information, stakeholder register, collection and transfer of institutional knowledge, frequency of each communication.
Stakeholder register, I think.
Stakeholder register is part of stakeholder engagement plan, or it is created in initiation. It is not part of communication, but naturally we do consult it, but that is not part of communication management plan. After integrating the communication management plan into the overall project plan, what would be the next logical step? Determining whether there will be changes to the proposed technology before the project is over, creating a schedule for the production of each type of communication, creating a description of stakeholder communication requirement, and distributing the plan to all the stakeholders. Which one is the correct answer?
I think distributing the plan to all stakeholders. It's the next step.
The last one?
Yes, D.
Okay. Any other opinions, Kelvin?
Because the very first three is part of the communication management development.
Okay.
Yeah, D.
Okay.
I would say B. Oh,
Okay.
okay.
B is creating a schedule for the production of each type of communication. It says, after integrating the communication management plan, after communication have been assembled, what will you do next? The next you distribute it. Simple as that. So you don't create a schedule. Creation of schedule is the job of scheduling, right? So creating a schedule for the production of each type of communication is not the right answer. Distributing the plan to all the stakeholders is. Which two of the following should be included in a communication management plan? How and when team meetings are run, equipment assigned to each team member, project charter, preferred communication approaches with external stakeholders. Which two could be? Yes?
One of them is D, because we need to specify with how communication approaches is going to be taken.
Okay.
And project charter, I think. I don't know. Oh, yeah.
The first one and the last one. How and when the team meetings are run, that is decided during the communication management. Project charter was created earlier. You are using it, right? But you are not doing anything with it otherwise. And the D, preferred communication approaches with external stakeholders. So we are done with this section, and the next section is build shared understanding. I thought we could cover more today, but I think because we have done this one, so we should break now. What do you think? Should I start the new topic? Or we should break? Just
Then
last
continue
10 minutes.
tomorrow.
We can continue tomorrow. So remember, it is slide number 113, and it is topic C we are going to start tomorrow. I don't want to commit the same mistake I did today. I started from something else, somewhere else. Okay.
It's
So
okay.
thank you very much and see you tomorrow the same time. Thank you and take
Thank
care.
you.
Take
You
care.
too.
Bye-bye.
You